Ryan Trahan has done over 1 billion views on YouTube, and he's been one of the most consistent creators on the platform for years now. It's kind of hard to explain. I mean, he's genuinely charming and he's genuinely talented, but charm and talent don't repeat this many viral videos in a row. There's one thing Ryan does every single time before he shoots. He comes up with an idea that has a built-in limit. I call it a constraint. It's the same move every time, and almost nobody else on YouTube is doing it as well as Ryan Trahan. I've worked with creators like Ludwig, Trash Taste, Poarch, and brands like Netflix, T-Mobile, Hilton, and more. We're gonna break down more things that help Ryan Trahan that could help you too in the rest of this video. Let's get started. He's living it, not narrating it. Think about how a creator talks about the world. It's usually from the outside. It's from a computer, narrating something that's already happened somewhere else. They are telling you the story. They're explaining it after the fact. Well, Ryan doesn't do that. He actually does the exact opposite. He's out there doing the damn thing. The camera is following him through the whole thing as it happens in real time. And it sounds like a small thing, but it's not, because it's the foundation his entire format is built on. The second the creator stops telling you what happened and starts actually doing it in front of you, something flips for the viewer. They stop being an audience watching a show and they start being a friend tagging along. Everything else flows from that decision. He's not the narrator of his story, he's the protagonist of his story. And that's what separates him. Another thing that Ryan does better than almost anybody else on YouTube, it's what I am calling the buddy trip. It's Ryan taking you on an adventure as his best friend. He's holding the camera in his hand as if he was FaceTiming you. He's waking up from a nap or from sleeping in an Airbnb. It kind of makes you feel like you're not watching content and you're more like hanging out with a friend. So by the end of his video, you don't feel like you just watched the penny challenge. You feel like you just did it with him. You had the laughs, you sat through the awkward parts. The hours you spent on screen with him start to feel like hours you actually spent together. The opening is the same every time. One of the first things you'll notice is that Ryan's opening is pretty much always the same, and it works because of the repetition. Watch the first 10 seconds of any Ryan Trahan video. He's at a location, mic in hand, he tells you where he is, what's about to happen, and he asks you to come along. The first frame and what he says carries a ton of weight. He didn't need to waste time explaining because the information, it's already there. It's blunt, it's clear, and it doesn't feel scripted, even though it probably is, because when you've seen it 100 times, it still feels familiar and comfortable, and you settle in the moment he starts. But here's the thing. The opening is just the setup. The real reason his videos hold together for 10, 20, 50 minutes is the constraint locked in before he ever stood at that location. Before Ryan shoots anything, he comes up with the idea for the video. But it's not just any idea. It's an idea with a hard limit built into it. A real physical rule that the whole entire video has to obey. Survive on 1 penny for 30 days. Visit 50 states in 50 days. That limit is the constraint. It gets stated up front, gets locked, and from that point on decides every move he makes for the rest of the video. When the limit is 1 penny, every transaction has to come from asking for a favor, negotiating, or finding something for free. He can't shortcut to the next scene. Every conversation he has on camera is doing real work because the constraint won't let it be filler. He has to fulfill the constraint. And you don't know where any of it goes. You don't know what's gonna happen next. The constraint opens up infinite possibilities. Every scene could break into a completely different direction. You can't predict what's next, and neither can Ryan. Now, finding the right constraint is harder than it looks. If it's too tight, the video is a chore to watch or to produce. And if it's too loose, you're right back having a topic instead of a story. And that gap is the actual skill. So let me give you 2 more examples, both outside of Ryan. I directed a Trash Taste video in Hawaii, where instead of just driving from one spot to the next, we built in a set of constraints to the drive. Challenges, checkpoints, side quests, with room for the personalities to breathe. So the constraints are what turned it into a video. They gave the boys something to react to in real time, and the reactions are what people actually showed up for. Or look at Tip to Tip with Ludwig and Michael Reeves. Crossing Japan or China, tip to tip on motorcycles. I was not personally involved, I want to make that clear, but honestly, I wish I was. It's one of the best examples of constraints stacked together in the history of YouTube. No map, no smartphones, in a country where they don't even speak the language, and it just puts travel onto hard mode immediately. And their personalities have an exceptional time to shine, because stacked together, these constraints create something that nobody could predict. And the entire video is just watching 2 people working around these limits. So what makes a good constraint? You need to have A, and you need to have B, and in between A and B lies the most question marks. The constraint inserted makes that in between A and B part very entertaining. You can pre-plan entertainment if you give yourself the right A, B, and constraint. It's that easy. Now, the reason I can break this down is that building these kinds of videos, the big once a quarter or once a year swing that a creator wants to get exactly right, is what my company does. We come in when a creator has an idea and we blow that idea up. We do pre-production, we plan the entire thing, we film it, and then we'll help in the back end too if they need help with post-production. The way I think about it is you give me a spark, we make it a fire. The stakes tighten on their own. Most creators fake urgency in the edit, but Ryan doesn't have to. The constraint tightens on its own as the video goes, so the stakes climb naturally. Once it works, serialize it. And once you find the constraint that works, don't move on, do it again. Episode 2 is way easier because you've already figured out the hard part, and people come back because they know exactly what to expect next time. So the obvious question is whether you can actually copy any of this or whether it only works because he's Ryan. It's one of the most copyable formats on YouTube right now. The buddy trip takes the least amount of gear out of almost anything, and if you got a phone, you can shoot it. And it doesn't depend on his reps to work. Yeah, Ryan's been doing this longer than anybody else on YouTube probably, which is why he's the best at it, but the format works for anybody who builds it right. The hard part isn't the camera or the production, it's the two things underneath. It's designing an idea with a real limit baked in, a constraint that actually forces a story. That takes real thinking. None of this is a skill that you're born with. You gotta go out there and you gotta get reps. So the real barrier, it's up to you. Are you willing to go out and do this? If you do, you might find some success. So that's it. The protagonist framing, the buddy trip, the opening, the stakes, it all comes down to a few decisions made before he shoots. But knowing what to build is only half the battle. Actually producing it is the other half. So if you want to know about producing, go watch this other video that's floating around my head right now. If you want even more help, shoot an email to contact@steady.gg and somebody from my team will get back to you. Maybe we could chat. Thank you. Bye-bye. Have a good day.